Thank you.
Gillian, thank you so much for flying out here. So before we get started, I mean, we're going to talk primarily about technology in the travel industry and AI and chatbots and all that good stuff. I wanted you to just kind of take us back to earlier days at Booking.com. And you started there in 2002, I believe.
Right. Yes.
So give us a little snapshot of what the company was like back when it was a small Amsterdam-only based company, and what the travel industry was like, because that was seems like a long time ago at this point.
It seems like a long time ago. Yes and no. People are often surprised that if you think about the size of Booking.com today, that actually this company has their headquarters in Amsterdam. And because Holland is a very small country, and I always say that it actually has helped us to be a startup in the Netherlands, because one, Holland is small, so you have to think outside of borders very early on. And if you follow demand, and Dutch people get a lot of holidays, so that's good for our business, then it takes you all over the world. And that's basically how we started expanding the business. In the beginning, when we started, of course, it was a lot different than today. We built a product to scale from day one, so that also has helped us in becoming a global brand as how we are today. I think the way Booking started is quite different than a lot of companies, right? If you think about travel, and in the past where you had a brochure with a picture this side and you had to make a choice of which property you were going to stay at, that was pretty complex. So we actually said we actually can make that a lot better, and through technology. So we said, you know, we're going to build a product that will help customers booking and accommodation, make it more informative, more intuitive, and take friction out of that process. So that's how we got started. And then we started measuring through customer data what people actually liked. And that's how we started to make more and more improvements. But in the beginning, we didn't have a lot of money, so also there, when we opened our first office in Barcelona, we built our office out of an apartment. We stayed there as well because we still had to sign up hotel. So it was a great start, because at the beginning, you really build your model, you build your culture, you build your product, and that's an amazing time. And after you've done all of that, there's a long time of scaling, right? You're scaling everything you do with Booking. We've scaled the amount of properties we have, we scaled the amount of languages, we scaled the amount of countries we operate in, the amount of people we have working, the amount of A/B experiments, and but every phase I have found to be super, super interesting, and lots of learnings.
So, and today you have more than 15,000 employees in 198 offices around the world. So you've grown a bit, and you're also part of Priceline Group. And that acquisition happened a while back. You're the biggest chunk, like 2/3, I think, of Priceline around that. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like? And I realize it's been a number of years, but starting from a smaller startup kind of feel, and then the deal, and sort of going forward. How was that transition?
Yeah, I think for us, and at the time when we were scaling, it was a different time than it is today, right? It was very difficult to get funding, especially in Europe. It was very difficult to get talent at that time, because people didn't want to become part of e-commerce companies at that time. So eventually, the deal with Priceline for us was very good, because we knew that should we need money again, we have a company behind us. And also Priceline had no intent to run our business, right? They were looking for people that wanted to continue working on their dream, continue working on building a successful business. So for us, that combination was ideal, because of course we just started, and we had no intention to stop what we were doing. So for us, that was a perfect situation.
And you mentioned it was hard getting talent at the time, and a lot of people didn't want to come and work for an e-commerce company, but you did, and you came from the hospitality, the traditional hospitality industry. So What prompted you to make that jump?
Yeah, so I have a hospitality background, was responsible for marketing sales, and very early on already realized how complicated it was to bring customers from all over the world into properties. So when the internet came, I really was fascinated as to how the internet could solve that problem. And then the founder of Bookings.nl was actually making money at the company where I was working, so I got connected with him very early on when he was walking around with his plans. And in 2002, they really started forming a team to start growing the business, and there was some money invested into the company. So that's when I said, well, I truly believe that this is going to make booking accommodations better. So I took the jump and said I'm going to try it.
Were there others in the company at the time that had come not from the tech and online space, but from travel or hospitality?
Yes, so the interesting part was that Gillian Tans, the founder of Booking, and others really wanted to build Booking off of an Excel sheet. But so it was very important that people like me also shared with them that hotels were not sitting behind computers, so it's impossible to build your business like that. And that's also when we started to move into countries and basically started helping properties to get online and connected to Booking, because that's basically how we expanded our business all over the world. And also, if you think about customer service, many companies don't think about these type of elements of your business, but for Booking, from the start, it's been extremely important to also invest in customer service to make sure that you're actually building these great experiences for customers so that they also come back to use your product.
What do you think, just going into the technology side of it, obviously right now a big focus and initiative for you guys is AI and chatbots specifically, but what are other big advancements in travel when it comes to technology? I mean, we kind of went through that phase of like putting everything online, but what was next?
Yeah, you see, of course, during time, you see already through technology that we were able to build a better experience for customers. If you think about in the beginning, Booking was really only interacting at the time of the booking, and then where people were off traveling. Mm-hmm. But when mobile came, you already saw a big change where we were able to impact people's trip much more than only the booking itself. So there you see a lot of innovations on Booking happening because of that. And it's very important that every new technology we embrace and really start learning in every element of our business where it can actually have impact on customers. If you think about machine learning, Booking has been a data company from the start. We've always innovated everything we do. We make decisions through data, even on design. Anything you will find in our mobile apps or on our website. Mm-hmm. And also, therefore, you see with machine learning, we very early on already started using these techniques throughout our business. And every customer today touches machine learning already anywhere within our product, right? So. And artificial intelligence, of course, is also a new technique which we truly think that can improve, again, the experience of customers.
So I still, when I think chatbot, I think about like Clippy and Microsoft Office, and I realize that things have progressed a bit since then. Talk to us about how you view what a chatbot can do in travel and what it can't do.
Yeah. So I must say, today it's still a lot of learning. And there's basically two areas where we are experimenting in, where we see it can truly have a great impact on customers. The first one is, if you think about the planning of a trip, right? And that is complex still today. Many people spend a longer time planning than the trip itself. So there's a lot to gain if we can make that better for customers. And artificial intelligence really has an opportunity to make it much more personalized. And in travel, this is extremely complicated because ordering a book versus deciding on which property you're going to book in Rome, which you have 8,000 choices, right? To find the best choice for that specific customer is extremely difficult. And that's an area which we're learning more and more in. And now it's still through text, which hopefully we can build more personalized. But we also think that within 3 years, over 50% of our customers will touch AI somewhere within booking. And the second phase is really through assistance, right? If you think about the booking assistant, already today 30% of customers in the English language are working through our booking assistant. And we've learned that 80% of customers really want to have instant answers when they need you. And the assistant is actually able to provide that. So that's also an area where you see bots having a great function into providing answers faster to customers.
Are you seeing travel agents, like real-life travel agents, making a comeback at all? Because as there's been this proliferation of different options, it is overwhelming, and I understand that AI and chatbots are trying to mitigate some of that. Yeah. But do you see travel agents at all making a comeback today?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's about the comeback, but it's more about, I think, eventually it's about that customers, they want to package their travel and everything needs to work together. And what you've seen online is mostly very traditional cross-sell, right? But then you actually leave customers to a different experience every time, which is pretty complex. But customers want to have it all in one place, and they want to have it frictionless, they want to have it easy and seamless. And I think that's where it needs to go to. And eventually, if we enable to book every element of a trip in one go, then I think it will help customers enormously.
Are there specific, have you found out so far that there are some kind of interesting or surprising factors that really are particularly important when you're trying to gauge what someone's preferences are going to be? Because like you said, there might be 8,000 listings in a particular city. What are the important factors in trying to assess where someone will ultimately want to book?
Yeah, and I think with booking, we have a lot of data around that already because of, we understand how people search. And even we've learned that even if you ask people what they find important versus what they actually do, can be different as well. So it's very important to look at what people actually do and how they make certain choices and what they use to make these choices. Is it reviews, information on reviews? Is it location? Is it price? There's so many elements, and that's something which booking already is very advanced in. But we feel with AI, we can even make it a faster decision for customers.
Anything that sticks out so far from what you've seen that might be surprising to us?
Well, there's nothing that sticks out today that will be difficult because it's still in such an early phase that I also want to be, I want to be careful by saying anything about it because once we bring more volumes through it, it might change again. So, yeah.
And one of the ways that you've been able to develop and harness this technology is through an acquisition that you made of a Tel Aviv-based company. Can you talk about that a little bit and what they do?
Yeah, so we purchased a company from Israel, Evature, and they've built a chatbot actually in our industry, which basically means you can just type in, I want to have a hotel in Paris, and basically this bot will take you through the whole search process to eventually get that property booked. And that's something that we were putting live now for customers in booking, but also through messaging apps as well.
Okay. If you take a step back and just kind of give us a broader view of what's going on in online travel more broadly, how would you assess where things look today? It seems like there have been some fluctuations, especially recently. Expedia's earnings kind of caused some of the stocks to go down. What do you think is going on? What are the bright spots and the big opportunities going forward, and what are some of the challenges today?
Yeah, so I think within travel, I think there's lots of opportunities, right? If you take a step back, what travel can do to people and how important travel is to people, right? It changes perspectives of people, it creates memories that people carry with them for a long time. And also we see that people travel more and more, right? So you see that overall travel is increasing, and I think that will continue to do so. And I think if you think about companies, if you think like Booking, we are more and more expanding. We now offer experiences in 30 cities to customers. We're working with transportation, right, to think about how can we help customers transport from the airport to the property. More and more we think about how can we help customers once they arrive in their destination. So there's lots of opportunity, and then I think what people often don't realize is that Booking within the accommodation space is also very big in homes and apartments. And that's an area which we're putting a lot of focus on to grow even more, because we do see that there's a need for customers to book these type of properties. Booking does focus on the breadth of selection, because we want to make sure that people understand what is all out there to book. But that's an area which is a great opportunity for Booking, especially here in the US.
In particular in the US?
Well, the US, we still have a lot to gain in this segment. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So that brings up another little company, Airbnb, which I'm sure you get asked about a lot. But do you see, I mean, in today's world, who is your biggest competitor or competitors? Do you worry more about Expedia's or the hotels themselves or Airbnb?
Yeah, I think the nice thing about travel is that there's many players in this space. You also still today have many local players. There's even many people that still book their travel offline. So it's a very competitive space, right? And Airbnb, of course, is very successful in the homes and apartment segment. But in many countries in Europe, Booking is already leading in this space, right? So I think it's...
Which countries in particular?
Well, there's many countries in Europe, right? Because we've been active in this segment for a long time. If you think about cities like Amsterdam, Barcelona, and it's a segment that is growing.
Have you had a different approach when it comes to entering different geographies and how you deal with the regulatory landscape?
Yeah, so we feel it's important that the regulatory landscape is clear, because then you create the best environment for everybody. And that's something where we help cities with as well, because it's important that there's clear laws around what is possible and what not.
So before entering a particular market?
Yeah, we work together with cities, right? And every city is in a different phase, right? In some cities there is clear regulations, in some not. But I think it's also important that cities learn from each other.
Yeah. Okay. And you brought up the various different things that you guys are doing, transportation, homes and apartments, of course, in addition to hotel bookings.
Yes.
There's so much going on in the travel space, and I'm sure we all see different companies popping up and financing rounds, whether it's like RV rentals or vacationing with pets. There's a website for, I mean, there's like a service for everything, right? How do you choose, even with the resources that you have at a sizable company, how do you choose what features and services to go after and what to put on the back burner?
Yeah, so like I said, Booking is a very data-driven company, so we always want to make sure that whatever we do and where we put our investments, that there's clear intent. Because if there's no intent, then you're not really solving a problem for customers, then yeah, you can do a lot of investment, but it won't bring you very far. So, and even you should really, at Booking, you see there's really a culture to also test, learn, and sometimes you fail. And we try lots of things. We sometimes even stop things, but it's important that you keep doing what's right for customers.
And as much as we are seeing innovation around kind of all the edges in travel, are there untapped opportunities that you see out there, either for startups or for yourself to
Yeah, I
pursue?
think there are many opportunities, right? I think if you think about families, that's still today there's still a lot of work to do. Business travel, I think there's still a lot of innovation that can happen. There's many segments, right? Which I mean, even today, I've been doing some mentorships at the Women in Tech Lounge, and there was a startup of putting bags, because many homes and apartments don't have anywhere to store luggage. So she solved that problem, right? Which I thought was amazing. But so there's many examples, I think, of areas where there's still friction for customers that can be solved.
All right, last quick question. Favorite vacation spot?
Yeah, well, the good thing is it's not your favorite hotel, which I find always very difficult to answer. Favorite vacation spot? Ooh, that's a difficult one.
San Francisco?
Yeah, San Francisco, of course. And after San Francisco, yeah, it's a difficult one because I like so much and I travel so much. Yeah, I would say probably Bali. I like a lot in Indonesia, but yeah.
I think that's a pretty good. Oh, we have a show of support there. Well, Gillian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.